Have you ever felt completely overwhelmed? Like the world is just too loud, too demanding, a constant barrage of notifications, opinions, and noise. We're told to hustle, to speak up, to be seen and heard. But what if the greatest power, the deepest source of strength and clarity, isn't found in the noise, but in the silence? This isn't just about finding a quiet corner. It's about discovering a profound tool that can change how you see the world and yourself. To understand this power, we need to go back to a bitterly cold morning in St. Petersburg, December 22nd, 1849. A 28-year-old writer, his hands bound, stood on a scaffold. His name was Fyodor Dostoevsky. He and several others had been sentenced to death by firing squad for their involvement in a literary circle that discussed radical Western philosophy. This was it. The end. Imagine standing there, the frigid air biting at your skin, the muffled sobs of your fellow prisoners in your ears. Dostoevsky looked at the church spire nearby, its golden dome glinting in the pale winter sun. He was a writer, a man who lived by words, but now words were useless. There was nothing left to say, nothing to argue. There was only this moment, stretched into an eternity. He had, by his own calculation, about 5 minutes left to live. What do you do with 5 minutes left? Do you scream? Do you pray? Do you try to make one last grand statement? Dostoevsky did none of those. He turned to the man next to him, another condemned soul, and said his goodbyes. Then he sank into a deep internal silence. He let go of the future he had planned, the novels he dreamed of writing, the people he loved. All of it dissolved. In that silence, he wasn't thinking about his legacy or his regrets. He was just there. He was experiencing the raw, unfiltered sensation of being alive. The feeling of the cold, the sight of the sun on the dome, the awareness of his own breathing. He later wrote about this, describing an overwhelming love for life in its purest form. Not for what life could give him, but for life itself, the simple, miraculous fact of existence. He divided his last 5 minutes, 2 minutes to say goodbye to his comrades, and the final 3 minutes for himself. He wanted to think, to look around one last time. He wanted to absorb every last detail of this world. In that profound silence, stripped of all future, all ambition, all fear, he found a strange and powerful clarity. The noise of his life, his anxieties, his political ideals, it all faded away, leaving only the present moment. Then, just as the soldiers raised their rifles, a messenger on horseback galloped into the square, waving a white cloth. A pardon from the Tsar. The execution was a sham, a cruel piece of political theater designed to terrify them into submission. They weren't going to die. Dostoevsky's sentence was commuted to 4 years of hard labor in Siberia. He was saved, but he was also forever changed. You might think the story ends there with a sigh of relief, but for Dostoevsky, the real story was just beginning. The man who was led away from that scaffold was not the same man who had walked onto it. Those few minutes of absolute silence in the face of death had rewired his entire being. He had touched something fundamental about the human experience. During his years in the brutal Siberian prison camp, he had plenty more silence and plenty of noise too, the clanking of chains, the shouting of guards. But he carried the memory of that scaffold with him. It became his anchor. He had faced the ultimate end, and in doing so, he had discovered an infinite beginning within himself. It was in the depths of that silence that he found the raw material for his greatest works. When he finally returned from exile, he began to write with a new urgency and depth. He wrote Crime and Punishment, The Brothers Karamazov, The Idiot. These aren't just stories. They are deep psychological and spiritual explorations. They wrestle with the biggest questions: faith, free will, suffering, and redemption. And at the heart of all of them is this understanding he gained on the scaffold that in the quietest moments, when we are stripped of everything, we find what truly matters. His characters are often pushed to the brink just as he was. They are forced into moments of crisis where the noise of their lives falls away and they have to confront themselves in a deafening silence. Think of Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment, isolated by his terrible secret. His journey is one of moving through the cacophony of his own guilt-ridden mind to a place of silent confession and, eventually, the possibility of grace. Dostoevsky's experience teaches us that silence isn't empty, it's full. It's a space where we can process, understand, and connect with ourselves on a level that is impossible when we are constantly bombarded by external stimuli. We live in a world that glorifies noise. We measure success by how much attention we can get, how many likes, how many followers. We fill every spare moment with podcasts, music, and scrolling. We are terrified of being alone with our own thoughts. But what are we running from? Maybe we're afraid that if we stop, if we get quiet, we'll have to face the things we've been avoiding. Our fears, our regrets, our unanswered questions. But Dostoevsky's story shows us the opposite. It's in that very confrontation that our greatest strength lies. The silence isn't the enemy. It's the gateway. Think about it in your own life. When do you have your best ideas? Often, it's not in a loud brainstorming session. It's in the shower, on a quiet walk, or right before you fall asleep. It's when you give your brain a chance to be quiet that the background processing kicks in, connections are made, and insights bubble to the surface. Silence is the soil in which creativity and clarity grow. So, how can we cultivate this power in our own lives without needing a near-death experience? It starts small. It can be as simple as turning off the radio during your commute. Instead of listening to a podcast, just listen to the sounds of your own life unfolding around you. Try eating a meal without your phone or the TV on. Just taste the food. Experience the sensation. Schedule moments of deliberate silence into your day. You can call it meditation or prayer or just quiet time. Find a comfortable place, close your eyes, and just breathe. Your mind will be noisy at first. That's normal. Thoughts will race. The trick isn't to fight the noise, but to just observe it, like watching clouds pass in the sky. Let the thoughts come and let them go. Beneath that mental chatter, there's a space of stillness. This practice isn't about escaping the world. It's about engaging with it more fully. When you emerge from a period of silence, the world seems more vibrant. Colors are brighter, sounds are clearer. You are more present with the people you talk to because you are not distracted by the noise in your own head. You become a better listener, not just to others, but to yourself. You start to hear that quiet inner voice, your intuition, that is so often drowned out. Dostoevsky was sentenced to death and given a second chance at life. He spent the rest of that life exploring the depths of the human soul, a journey that began in those 5 minutes of profound silence. He learned that life isn't about the grand gestures or the loud declarations. It's about the quiet moments of connection, of awareness, of being fully present to the miracle of existence. We don't need a firing squad to learn this lesson. The opportunity is available to us every single day. The power to transform our lives, to find clarity, and to connect with what truly matters is waiting for us. It's not out there in the noise. It's right here in the silence. Take a moment today. Turn off the distractions. Just be and listen. You might be amazed at what you hear. Thanks so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, let us know in the comments how you find moments of silence in your own busy life. And for more journeys into the ideas that shape our world, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We'll see you in the next one.